Hi everyone, this is Richard, CEO of altFINS. In this trading video, I will discuss what the US presidential elections, which are being held tomorrow, November 5th, what could the outcome of these elections mean for the crypto and stock market and perhaps the macroeconomy as well. Many are calling these elections the most consequential elections in modern history. But again, we'll focus on what could happen or what could be the impact on the crypto and stock markets if either Trump or Harris wins. So let's first take a look at some of the odds of winning. As you can see, during August and September, the odds were very tight between Trump and Harris. In fact, Harris was leading in some point, but then, and this is based on the markets and the betting markets, okay, implying what is the implied winning probability now. Now, during October, the odds of Trump winning were steadily rising, and that coincided with an increase in price for crypto overall, led by Bitcoin, right? We can see that. Let's look at the price of Bitcoin real quick. As you can see, really since mid or early October, the price has steadily risen from 60,000 to 74,000. So about 20% increase in price within 1 month, and then stopped just shy of the $74,000 resistance, right? If you take a look at our technical analysis, $74,000 level is really the level where it topped out in April or March, and therefore it's also the all-time high, and therefore a very stiff resistance area. If we clear this area, we're likely to go all the way to 100,000 over the next 6 to 12 months, maybe even sooner. But for now, it got rejected here at that level, pulling back. I would be a buyer back at 64,000 support level, but maybe I don't get a chance depending on who wins. Having said that, more recently, as literally in just last few days, October 30th, 31st, and November 1 through 3 or so. So last 5 days or so, the odds, Trump's odds of winning have diminished, and it could be simply just pre-election jitters in the market, right? And so with that, we saw the price of Bitcoin also pull back, and the entire crypto space. If you look at the performance in the last week or so, Bitcoin is flat, but really if we look at the chart, it has pulled back in the last really 7 days, and then you can see all the other assets are also down, single digits, high single digits. Here's Binance, here's Solana has pulled back, since it reached $180, it's back to 160, right? Dogecoin has pulled back and bouncing a bit today, but has pulled back. Cardano has pulled back, and let's see, there's Polkadot and others, right? So clearly, the US presidential elections are having an impact right now on the prices of markets, not just crypto markets, but also stock markets. In fact, if we look at the S&P 500 here, this chart, as you can see, prices have pulled back in the last few days as well. Ironically, for the stock markets and the US economy, there are fears that Trump's win would be a negative for the economy in the US and worldwide, because they could reignite inflation. Let me explain that. Specifically, Trump wants to reduce taxes, which increases budget deficits, obviously. And also, he wants to place many and very high tariffs on imports, especially on imports from China, which many economists and Wall Street analysts fear that the tariffs could translate into higher consumer prices and therefore inflation, right? And finally, really inflation has just in the last year or so um, stabilized and returned to historical levels of 2% after very high inflation at the beginning of the Biden's administration, at the end of Trump administration. So really, the Fed has been fighting inflation with high interest rates for the last 4 years, and now we have seen inflation come back to its target levels of 2% or so. But there's fear that if Trump wins, the inflation could begin to rise again, and that would mean that the U.S. central bank, the Fed, would need to pause their interest rate cuts because the Fed has cut interest rates during the last two Fed meetings, and so again, there is fears that the Fed may have to reverse the interest rate cuts and actually begin to hike interest rates again to fight inflationary pressures on the Trump administration. So that would be negative for risk assets like stocks and crypto because high interest rates are negative for valuations and low interest rates are positive for valuations. So from a macro perspective and stock markets perspective, it appears that the markets and the analysts believe that Trump's win could actually be a negative. Now, what would it mean for crypto, however, right? I mean, so far what we saw is that as the odds of Trump's win increased, crypto assets behaved very positively. Well, so I do think that if Trump wins, it will be a positive for crypto. Now, remember, Trump was a huge critic of crypto in his first presidential term, but he appears to have flipped his agenda. And so, can we believe him? Maybe. And it appears that he now has vested interest in more favorable crypto regulation because he wants a weaker dollar, but also because he's now associated with the launch of Trump Liberty Financial. If you haven't noticed or caught the news in last really 2 or 3 weeks, Trump's family and associates have launched Trump Liberty Financial, which is hoping to be some kind of a DeFi project with a stablecoin. And this project basically any revenues or 75% of coin sales and revenues in this project actually go to Trump's family. So if he and his family have a vested interest in crypto and this particular crypto project succeeding, we could argue that he should be favorable, or his administration should be favorable for the crypto sector. I believe that it should be favorable, particularly for utility tokens, tokens of DeFi projects, because decentralized finance projects are projects that have utility tokens that offer token holders some benefits, maybe some dividends or some staking opportunities, or sharing of trading revenues and so forth. And these types of tokens and projects have been in the biggest crosshairs with the SEC, right? And so the idea is, or the presumption is, that if Trump wins, the regulatory environment becomes more favorable for DeFi projects, and therefore this should be a big benefit for tokens of lending platforms and decentralized exchanges and staking platforms. And these include Aave, Maker, Lido, Balancer, decentralized exchanges like GMX and Synthetics, also another liquidity staking protocol, Rock Fuel. So you can find a lot of these fundamentally sound projects in our CoinPeak research right here. Okay, and so these could be projects that you could go through and pick potential winners under the Trump administration, because these projects actually deliver value. They deliver a product that has a value proposition to token holders and to end users as well, and so on. These are fundamentally sound projects. Now, I do think that Bitcoin, Ethereum, and to some extent memes could also benefit from Trump's win. But really, Bitcoin and Ethereum have already passed the SEC regulatory scrutiny, right? And so I don't think there's going to be a big difference under Trump for Bitcoin or Ethereum in terms of the adoption. There's already been steady adoption by traditional asset managers and Wall Street and financial sort of sector, traditional financial sector of Bitcoin and Ethereum through the ETFs that have been approved this year. Now, another winner would likely be any projects that are under SEC investigation, like Ripple, XRP. Obviously, under Trump's win, presumably, again, the regulatory environment would become more favorable and less hostile to crypto projects like Ripple. Now, on the other hand, what would Harris's win mean? Obviously, a less positive, maybe less clear, but certainly less positive. The Democrats have promised a more reasonable regulatory approach than what we've seen under Biden administration so far, but there are few specifics supporting such a change in the regulatory environment under Harris's administration. I think that it would be better. Anything better than what we have had so far, but it's unclear if Harris's win would make a big difference. I think if Harris wins, crypto is likely to suffer some pullback, at least in the near term. However, Bitcoin and Ethereum are likely to be the winners, frankly, at least on a relative basis, because those two, again, have already cleared any regulatory scrutiny. We've seen ETFs have launched by major asset managers like BlackRock and Fidelity already on both assets this year. And we've seen traditional finance, gradually adopt these two, especially Bitcoin, in their portfolio allocations. I mean, arguably, under Harris administration, the Bitcoin dominance would likely increase because Bitcoin would really suck up more capital allocations and benefit from some flight to safety within the crypto sector, away from altcoins towards Bitcoin and perhaps Ethereum as well. Obviously, it would be a negative for the utility tokens of the DeFi projects, because these are the type of projects that actually offer some token benefits to token holders and are under the greatest regulatory scrutiny right now. And ironically, I think we could argue that the meme coins could flourish under Harris's administration, exactly because they don't provide any value to token holders. The meme coins are truly worthless fundamentally, and therefore these projects or coins, they don't face any SEC regulatory scrutiny or any regulatory risk. And so, we should expect more meme coins mania to continue under the Harris administration, like we have seen really under Biden's administration as well. All right, so what do we do as a trader? Well, I personally am sitting this one out on the sidelines with a few exceptions, because this is the outcome of this presidential elections. It's a very binary event. It's either positive or negative. I think Bitcoin is a safe bet either way. I'd like to see Bitcoin pull back to that $64,000 level, which is a support level, as I mentioned, that you can see under our technical analysis. But if you have a strong opinion on who's going to win, perhaps you think that Trump is going to win based on the odds that we're seeing and so forth, then clearly it's a buying opportunity across the board because we have seen a pullback in the recent few days. And so especially assets that are near their support level could be, and in an uptrend could be buying opportunities. So you can find such opportunities in our crypto screener under the preset filters, pullback in uptrend. So this preset filter basically finds assets that are in an uptrend on a medium and long-term basis, but have pulled back. Binance, Solana, Aptos, some of the memes are on this list as well. If you want to relax this criteria and get more results, maybe you can get rid of the long-term trend criteria and just keep the medium trend criteria, in which case you get more results. Okay, even Litecoin and others, Pith Network, satisfy this criteria. Again, these are assets that are in an uptrend, so we would be buying assets that are already in an uptrend. So trend is your friend, trade with the trend, and have pulled back, especially if they're pulled back to some support level. For example, Solana right here, in an uptrend, broke above the 200-day moving average. Now it's pulled back to $160. That's a key level. That's a support level that makes this an interesting opportunity. Again, you could also find interesting buy or short sell ideas under the technical analysis section that we have, where we keep basically trade ideas for 65 or so major altcoins, including Bitcoin. And if you have a very strong opinion that Harris is going to win, that obviously you should be short selling, or you could be short selling assets. There are some bearish trade setups that we have, as well as bullish trade setups that we have in this area. You can find ways to play either outcome of these elections. All right, well, I hope this has been helpful, and I'll create another trading video, obviously, post the elections, and we'll see how the markets go from here. Keep in mind that this video is for informational purposes only. It's not meant to be financial advice, and please do your own research. Good luck trading.